From the nation's capital, Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. A weekly discussion about the federal issues most important to Nevada. And now, from Washington, D.C., here's Marilee Joyce.
Good day to you. I'm Marilee Joyce. This is Eye on Washington, the only statewide Nevada news program produced in Washington, D.C. Every week, Eye on Washington takes you straight to Capitol Hill for a discussion with Nevada's delegation and other leaders about the federal matters that matter to you. Today's topic, getting beyond potential. We'll tell you what's being done on the state and national levels to help Nevada truly become a clean energy leader. And my special guest today is Mr. Tom Kimbis, the Vice President for Strategy of the Washington, D.C.-based Solar Energy Industries Association. It's an advocacy organization focused on building a strong American solar industry. And thanks for being here today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Marilee. Thanks.
Thank you. The Department of Energy estimates that just 100 square miles of sunny Nevada could supply all U.S. energy needs. Now, we've heard for many years about Nevada's potential as a clean energy leader, but what's really being done to make this dream a reality? Well, today on Eye on Washington, we'll tell you the latest in clean energy promoting efforts in the state and on the Hill. We'll find out about the recent fast-tracking of 7 solar projects last summer, 2 of which are in Nevada, and we'll learn what my guest says needs to happen in the state and nationally to strengthen Nevada's solar, wind, geothermal, and other clean energy industries. No state has more to gain from clean energy future than Nevada. That's what Nevada U.S. Senator Harry Reid said last August at the Las Vegas-based National Clean Energy Summit. The 5th annual event focused on the goal of Nevada's becoming a clean energy marketplace, identifying and accelerating clean economic growth opportunities. But while clean energy production has the support of our congressional delegation, there is concern over the number of Nevada projects that either have failed or have not produced the number of jobs expected or return on investment. At the summit, participants were told that in order for America to stay competitive in the $2 trillion global clean energy market, we'll need policies that invest in research and development and commercialization of clean tech products, accelerate the production and ownership of alternative fuel vehicles, and develop a smarter electricity grid. My guest, Solar Energy Industry, agreed with that goal and stressed the urgency of extending the tax credit for renewable energy producers and also for the government to provide policy stability. Mr. Kimbis, we're going to touch on some of the other sources of clean energy in Nevada, but mostly we're going to focus on solar today. That's your expertise area. Just 4 years ago, the Las Vegas Sun said that, solar installers, developers, financiers said that Nevada has a lot of potential to develop the solar power, but not enough to lure them away from states with better financial incentives, stronger workforces, more progressive electric utilities. And since then, Nevada solar power projects have benefited from tax credits and federal loan guarantees. But what is your and the SEIA's view on how things are going there now?
Yeah, and let me take a quick step back, Marilee, to talk a little bit about what's going on in the nation, in the United States with solar. Solar is having a record year. In fact, year-over-year growth, Q2 to Q2 of last year to this year, we've seen 125% growth in solar during very difficult economic times, as we all know. We currently have 100,000 Americans working in solar across all 50 states, including in Nevada, where we have about 74 companies in solar in the state. We see tremendous growth ahead of us as we move to become the largest market in the world. Right now, we're 3rd behind Germany and Italy, but we see the U.S. leapfrogging those. In terms of what we need to do going forward, we need to continue to bring down the price of solar. That's something that 4 years ago you mentioned, your excerpt from 4 years ago. Solar has actually fallen, the paneling price of solar has fallen by 50% in 1 year since the beginning of last year. Sure. And the installed price to the consumer has fallen by 1/3 in just 1 year. So I think looking at Nevada 4 years ago compared to looking at Nevada today is a whole new ballgame.
What isn't happening, though, on the state and federal level that would lead to more success with some of these solar projects, specifically in Nevada?
Well, I think specifically in Nevada, there's a few things that need to happen. Nevada is one of the leaders in the United States among all 50 states. The solar market in the U.S. is really divided among 50 different markets because when you're looking at whether a state is a solar state or not, You're looking at the amount of solar radiation, the amount of sunshine it receives, of course. You're looking at the policies that are in place to support solar and incentivize it. And you're looking at the price that you pay for your competitive electricity from other sources. And in Nevada, that's mostly natural gas. So when you're comparing it against California, say, for instance, California has a lot of sun. Nevada has world-class sun that the global leader Germany would kill to have. Germany has solar that's the equivalent of southern Alaska, and yet they lead the world in solar deployment.
So our potential, we could outdo Germany.
Oh, easily. That we can easily outdo Germany or any other country on Earth. It's just a question of whether we have the will and whether the policies in place to do so.
You know, there's some dissension over why clean energy businesses go under. Some say it's an example of a failed stimulus project. Others say there's actually insufficient attention being paid to doing what's needed to strengthen and support the industry. Where's the association on this?
Yeah, I think what you're looking at is solar is really no different from any other industry, a high-tech industry. When you look at what happened in telecom, when you looked at what happened in personal computing or even automobiles, you see a great contraction that happens. Not every business is going to succeed, but it doesn't mean that it was because it was a bad idea. It just means that the business plan wasn't, perfect. So you are always going to see, and you'll continue to see, in whether it's in solar, whether it's in natural gas, whether it's in any other industry, some companies fail and some succeed.
Okay. And when we return, Nevada on the solar fast track? We're going to find out. That's next.
You're watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, brought to you by the National Mining Association, Caesars Entertainment, NV Energy, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, Western Lithium Corporation, the Nevada Mining Association, the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, and Skyline Restaurant and Casino.
America's minerals have made us a nation of self-reliant dreamers, shaping our world and the endless ways we enjoy it. But red tape often forces us to import more than half the minerals we depend on. Minerals we already have. We don't import our dreams. Shouldn't that go for our minerals too? The National Mining Association. Learn more at nma.org.
You already watch Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's only statewide program produced in Washington, D.C. But for even more news from Capitol Hill that affects you, your family, and your business, you need to read Nevada's Washington Watch, our online newsletter. In-depth reporting on federal efforts that impact you. Our exclusive Inside the Beltway column, putting a microscope on Nevada's congressional delegation. Guest editorials about what Nevada needs from the Hill. Nevada's Washington Watch, your watch on Washington. Subscribe today at nevadaswashingtonwatch.com.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a little bit more.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of Nevada's potential as an alternative energy leader and what needs to happen to make that potential reality. My guest today is Mr. Tom Kimbis, the Vice President for Strategy of the Washington, D.C.-based Solar Energy Industry Association. Last summer, when 7 solar and wind energy projects were fast-tracked by the Obama administration, 2 of them are in the state of Nevada. The Moapa Solar Energy Center is being developed in cooperation with the Moapa Band of Paiute Indians. It's on a 2,000-acre site on the Moapa River Indian Reservation. The lands will be administered by the Bureau of Land Management in Clark County. If approved, the 200-megawatt project will be one of the first large-scale solar projects on tribal lands in the United States. Target completion date, December of 2013. Also in Nevada, the Silver State South Solar Energy Project. It's proposed by First Solar for more than 13,000 acres of public land near Primm. It would produce an estimated 350 megawatts of energy, reportedly enough to power 105,000 homes. It would be the first solar project on public lands to deliver power to the grid. Completion date goal soon, March 2013. Mr. Kimbis, this is big news for you and your association, and the industry in general, of course. If approved and developed, what would these two projects mean both to Nevada and the nation?
Well, and I think in terms of both projects, they mean jobs. So with Moapa, we're talking somewhere around 300 construction jobs and about 400 in terms of Silver State South. And this follows a long tradition, long in the solar sense, over the last 4, 5, 6 years, of Nevada really leading the way with large-scale projects from Nellis Air Force Base to Nevada Solar One. These are job-creating engines that also provide clean energy and help Nevada take the lead in a high-tech industry.
In this recession, with Nevada being worse than the country for so long,
Yes.
The word jobs is everyone's favorite word out there. So solar means jobs, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I mean, as I mentioned, 100,000 Americans working in solar and growing. This is double the amount than in 2009. And it's hard to do in a tough economy. And what we saw out of a recent poll that was done by Hart Research right here in Washington, D.C., one of the most esteemed polling houses in Washington, is that 90% of Americans, over 90% of Americans, believe that the United States should be using more solar. It's hard to get 90% in finding anything in a survey. You're like ice cream, apple pie, no matter what it is. And 80%, nearly 80%, and this is crossing all parties, Republican, Democrat, Independent, thought that the U.S. government and government in general should be providing financial incentives to solar. So we're seeing a very popular technology. Americans want more solar. So Nevada is in the place where they can deliver because they've got the world-class resources to do so.
You know, the administration mentions target goals for the two projects I mentioned, and I guess for any of their projects. Would you please tell us why would or wouldn't a project be approved?
Well, there's a lot that goes into the actual approval process, including the siting, the permitting, making sure that all environmental considerations, laws, regulations are taken into account in doing an impact statement. Mm-hmm. So those can always hold back a project. But in the case of Moapa, just last week, that project, the electricity from that project was sold. A contract was put in place with Los Angeles Water and Power Department to purchase majority of the electricity from Moapa. So that's a huge step for that project to move forward.
You know, there are some differences over the best way to get there, but Nevada's congressional delegation and state leaders largely are united in supporting clean energy. But this bipartisanship has only seen so much success in real long-term success. Why do plans struggle, and what do you think needs to happen here?
Marilee, I think that's really the key question here. I mean, we're here in Washington talking about solar, but most of the jobs are outside of Washington. They're across all 50 states. And I think the secret to policy success is having sustained policy that people can rely on. So if you're a small business owner, if you're a consumer looking to go solar, if you have a rebate program, or if you have some kind of policy incentive in a state or federal and it's there on a start-stop basis, and that's sort of what we have in Nevada, unfortunately. We've got a great progressive goal in our renewable portfolio standard, which requires utilities to purchase 25% or develop 25% of their electricity from renewable sources by 2025. Sure. But there's only a small carve out for what we call distributed generation, and that's the rooftop solar that you'll find on homes and on businesses, as opposed to the large fields out, large tracts of land. So unless we have a reconsideration of that policy and just to look at it thoughtfully and rejigger it to make sure that it's really meeting the needs of where Nevada wants to go and where its strong leadership, under Majority Leader Reid wants to see solar go. You can actually have the policy fall behind what's happening in reality.
Okay, we're going to follow that up in a minute when we return. So just what is the SEIA and what's the bipartisan answer to meeting its solar goals for Nevada and for the nation? That's right after this.
Every day, thousands of people in northern Nevada don't get enough to eat. 1 out of 5 children in northern Nevada go to bed hungry every night. But you can do something about it. Catholic Community Services of Northern Nevada has been providing help and creating hope in our community for more than 65 years. By donating food, time, or money, you can make a difference in a hungry person's life. When you make your generous donation to St. Vincent's Dining Room and St. Vincent's Food Pantry, you're helping to fight the scourge of hunger in northern Nevada. In these tough economic times, now more than ever, we need to help those less fortunate. To find out how you can donate to St. Vincent's Dining Room and St. Vincent's Food Pantry, call, click, or stop by, and together we can end hunger in northern Nevada.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
You already watch Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's only statewide program produced in Washington, D.C. But for even more news from Capitol Hill that affects you, your family, and your business, you need to read Nevada's Washington Watch, our online newsletter. In-depth reporting on federal efforts that impact you. Our exclusive Inside the Beltway column, putting a microscope on Nevada's congressional delegation. Guest editorials about what Nevada needs from the Hill. Nevada's Washington Watch, your watch on Washington. Subscribe today at nevadaswashingtonwatch.com.
This girl is very pretty. It's inciting feelings of jealousy in me. We should pick on her.
I'm insecure about some things, so I think we should put some me stuff on here. Maybe even some lies, too.
Yeah. I just want to be accepted by you both. So I'm going to send this to my friends so they think I'm cool.
Kids bully for all kinds of reasons. None of them are good. Find ways to get involved at flipthescriptnow.org.
How will new energy technology make our lives better? Will geothermal, wind, and solar energy be a bigger part of our future? Yes. And soon it will all be in our backyard. Learn more at nvenergy.com.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of Nevada's solar energy potential and what needs to happen to make that potential reality. We've been visiting with someone who knows, Mr. Tom Kimbis, the Vice President of Strategy for the Washington, D.C.-based Solar Energy Industries Association. So just what is the Solar Energy Industries Association? It is a Washington, D.C.-based national policy and advocacy organization. It's the voice of the solar industry at the federal and state level. SEIA advocates for the protection and expansion of the U.S. market for all solar technologies. It represents the entire solar industry, from the small business owner to the multinational company, from the installers on the roof to the engineers in the lab. Its goal is helping bring about policies that support the development of solar energy. And among the dozens of issues SEIA is pushing for or supporting now is the continuation of the solar energy tax credit. This 30% tax credit for solar systems on residential and commercial properties was renewed for 4 years in 2008. The association is active on the Hill and in the state and pushing for pro-solar policies in categories including renewable energy development, finance and tax, power plant development, manufacturing and trade, the environment, health and safety, and technology. And Mr. Kimbis, before we get to what you believe are the top issues for your industry on the Hill and in the state, what do you want our statewide audience to know about the SEIA?
Yeah, so I think the SEIA or SEIA, I think you did a great description of what we do, so thank you. We've been around since 1974, and just one tweak on what you had mentioned, the investment tax credit is indeed the backbone of policy at the federal level, and that was extended for 8 years back in 2008, so that goes through the end of 2016. But it is a critical issue. I know with facing budget deficits and going into what may be fundamental tax reform in Congress next year, we want to make sure that that investment tax credit that's keeping so many jobs in place in the United States stays in effect. I think in terms of what SEIA does, it does promote solar energy on the Hill here in Washington. It also works at the state level to do so and to educate Americans about their energy options. It also conducts research in conjunction with other associations and universities. And one report that we just released, which may be of interest to your viewers, is called our Top 20 Solar Corporate Report. And that shows that the top 20 corporate users, which tops the list at Walmart, Kohl's, FedEx, Costco, Walgreens, all of these companies are going solar. And they're not doing it just because it's the right thing to do. They're doing it because it makes economic sense.
Sure. There's two sides to this. Some label the extreme sides about clean energy. There's some the drill baby drill versus the evil oil companies, and that's the extreme. How does the SEIA appeal to both sides in this? What is the best approach for that balanced way to get to clean energy?
Well, I think that SEIA clearly advocates for an all-of-the-above approach, which I know is a little bit of an overused term these days in Washington in the middle of presidential debates. But we have been blessed with an abundance of resources in the United States, and SEIA believes that we should be using all of them. To date, that has meant mostly fossil fuels. Solar today only makes up around 1% of our electricity generation, as it does in Nevada too, which is surprising given the amount of sunshine that Nevada really has. But we need to promote the use of those energy sources that we think are going to be job creators, not job losers. Ones that we think are going to make us leaders going into the next generation of high-tech energy sources.
We're going to follow that in a minute when we return. Nevada's clean energy potential goes beyond the sun. That's next.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
America's minerals have made us a nation of self-reliant dreamers, shaping our world and the endless ways we enjoy it. But red tape often forces us to import more than half the minerals we depend on. Minerals we already have. We don't import our dreams. Shouldn't that go for our minerals too? The National Mining Association. Learn more at nma.org.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
You already watch Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's only statewide program produced in Washington, D.C. But for even more news from Capitol Hill that affects you, your family, and your business, you need to read Nevada's Washington Watch, our online newsletter. In-depth reporting on federal efforts that impact you. Our exclusive Inside the Beltway column, putting a microscope on Nevada's congressional delegation. Guest editorials about what Nevada needs from the Hill. Nevada's Washington Watch, your watch on Washington. Subscribe today at nevadaswashingtonwatch.com.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And we are back with our closing segment of Eye on Washington. Mr. Kimbis, now the SEIA, of course, focuses on solar, but let's talk about some of the other clean energy sources in Nevada. Northern Nevada holds the largest amount of untapped geothermal resources in the United States. There are tremendous wind resources throughout the state. Western Nevada has been looked at as a source of hydrocarbon. UNR recently got a huge grant from the Energy Department to study a potential source of renewable biomass, and that's just some of the many examples. But of course, solar is the biggie. We're more known for solar. And as we close out today's show, what do you want my audience to come away with from what we've talked about?
Yeah, I think going back to that sustainable policy, for any of those energy resources you mentioned, they're going to need stable, sustainable policy, just like the fossil fuel folks have had for up to a century. But I think the takeaway message here is that solar really is bipartisan. It's an energy source. It's a solution for America. It's not a political issue. And it's usable whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a small business, or a utility. And it's putting people to work in all 50 states, including Nevada, every day.
I think an amazing thing to me that you mentioned is that at Nevada and elsewhere that we're only solar is only 1% of energy. When you compare that to Germany, for example, what's the percentage that their solar is?
Yeah, and it depends where you are in Germany, but we've seen rates as high as 30%, wow. 25 to 30%. So Nevada falling behind New Jersey in terms of where it ranks for solar production.
Oh, come on.
I think Nevada should step up its game and shoot for number one.
Well, we'll leave it there, shooting for number one. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks, Marilee.
That does wrap up today's Eye on Washington, but we are always here for you, providing you with all the top federal news that you need to know. Just visit our website, joycecommunications.com. While there, you can subscribe to our Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter. You can like us on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and check out our poll offerings and more federal issues that impact Nevada while you're on our site. Thanks again for joining us on Eye on Washington. I'm Marilee Joyce in Washington, D.C. Have a good day.